Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to do a NESARA short video. What we're going to talk about is debt forgiveness. Now, some people call this the debt jubilee, and so we're going to be real specific here. And so, one of the questions that kind of comes up here, I'm just looking at my notes here, is who gets that and on what debt? Okay. So I had another one that we talked about medical debt. Yes, medical debt. Car loans. Yes. Home loans. Yes. So like a second mortgage. Yes, that would be a bank loan. So any bank loan. So how about a mortgage? Yes. Credit cards. Yes. Um, if it's with with a big bank, like the Chase big banks, yes. What about like with a small bank, like a small community bank? Of course, yes. It would absolutely be with that. Now, so for instance, what the original kind of statements are is person to business. So banking types of loans. So you're a person and you have a person to business kind of loan. So for instance, that would be a person to business. And what they did is they wrote it as a a debt to that particular business of that with a that particular business, which is a banking type of loan. So I want you to be real specific here. Okay. So it's a banking type of loan. Now, if you had a loan, a real specific loan, like you were trying to pay back a loan, a real weird loan, and I can't even think of one necessarily. Like you worked for a place and they let you borrow something or they let you buy something with them. Okay, they let you buy a particular, let's say you work for a clothing company and they let you buy some clothing apparel. Okay, and you had to pay it back over a time frame. Let's say you bought a lot of clothing apparel. Let's say you bought like $3,000 of clothing, and they were letting you pay it $150 a month, and you're thinking that you would get that paid back. Well, paid off. Well, that's a debt between you and your company. Okay, hey, that's not the same kind of thing. That was not done with the bank in the middle of that. That's really an agreement between you and that company. There's no type of interest built into it. That is just an agreement in that way. Now, I've done, personally as a company, I've had let people make payments on hearing aids, but I've never charged them interest on that. I expect them to pay that. Or I have personal loans to my parents. Um, or I've had, someone's paid, I paid them or they paid me or whatever. Those are personal loans. Okay. So that's a different kind of loan. Now there are business to business loans. So for instance, a small business makes a loan or has a loan with a bank. So those would also be taken care of with that way. Now, there are types of loans that would be cost of goods loans. Now, for instance, let's say you are a shoe store, a huge shoe store, and you have to have a certain number of shoes every single month. And you work out a COGS deal. So those are kinds of shoes that, and let's say you buy 4,000 shoes in a month, and you have this rotating amount of shoes with a particular brand company like Nike, and you have a rotating amount, but you have a deal with them to get a certain discount to do that kind of thing. You might not, that might not be one that gets written off in that way. Okay, because that's a cost of goods, kind of deal. Okay, and that would be basically a discounted kind of thing in there. So that's, I would say those are kind of no. And so some of those are kind of crazier than you realize. Why would most of those things be a yes on that way? Because they're written first off in um with the banking kinds of issues in relation that they have interest excuse me, they have interest built into it that is compound interest. And so we've talked about this. If you've listened to my other videos, compound interest is very illegal in the nature of the compound interest. It's excessive levels of interest, and it's constitutionally noted in there. And frankly, is not even signed by the banking people. It's normally signed by a title group. So the banks don't even sign that most of the time. And so and that is some of the contract nature that comes in there. Now, sometimes banks do sign that, but not always in that. And so those are and one of the things that we have when we go into a gold back standard is we have to actually flush most all of those loans out anyway, because they're so deep and so wide in the loans. There's so much in there, it becomes toxic loans, and you just have to flush them out. So, and what happens is they have to go back out there. So what will happen is that they flush up to the top of the heap, which is the Fed. They go up to the Fed, so they flow up from the small banks to the medium banks to the large 13 Fed banks, and they go to the Fed, they get flushed out. Now, the Fed banks are the sicko banks. They are going through their own bankruptcy. Now, that we're not talking about bankruptcy that they're dying. They have bankruptcy reorganization, but the other bankrupt banks are going through their own bankruptcy reorganization. So they're getting flushed with maybe cash influx from the Saint Germain Fund. So they're getting their books flushed out. So they're going to be flushed with cash. So this can be some good things that are coming here. So and see, some people are going to be going, I don't know how this is going to work. I promise you it's going to work. Okay. And I know a lot of bankers who are really stressed out about this because they've never really worked from anything but they've made money from the debt. Well, guess what? You're going to have to learn to make money off of money, which means you're going to have to work with the people who have money. And so you're going to have to make money off of money, which is a different type of value system. But the debts are going to wipe out, and it's going to be really good. Now, it's not going to be fair. It's never supposed to be fair. So some people don't have much debt, and I'm sorry you don't have much debt. There are as many as 25% of the people who don't have any credit debt. I'm sorry you don't have any credit debt. Most of the people that don't have any credit debt, about 25% of the people are the very rich people. And I have people that argue with me about mortgages. They don't have any mortgage. Most of those people are the wealthy. Most of those people are wealthy that don't have any debts. And I've seen plenty of those people. The few of the people don't have any debt because they live way inside of their means. And guess what? Those people are far ahead of the world. And they're going to have to teach the rest of the world how to live within their means. Because when we're in the NESARA era and the NESARA age, people are going to have to live within their means because there's not going to be another debt forgiveness coming, the debt jubilee coming. We're going to have to learn, how do you live within your means? Because there's not going to be, you're going to have, there's not going to be another set of loans coming through to pay off things. Okay. People are going to have to learn to deal with that. So hope that helps you understand this. We're trying to make these shorter so that you can kind of get through them with a little bit better bite size chunks there. Thanks so much.